Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, you know the expression, better late than never? Better late than never. So, the news broke yesterday. Finally, the dam broke at the Department of Justice. President Trump announced to the country, and it really wasn't much of a surprise or a shock, as she has been floundering at her job, really going back 4, 5, 6 months. Many people, myself included, have been urging the president to get rid of her and reshuffle the deck at the Department of Justice before everything gets away from him in terms of prosecuting deep state and Democrat criminals. So here is exactly what I'm just going by media reports with good, solid sources within the White House. Apparently, President Trump told Pam Bondi just before he addressed the entire country on the Iran war Wednesday night. They met in the Oval Office, maybe about half an hour before Trump was to walk up to the podium and speak to the nation. And he told her, he thanked her for her service. He knows that personally she's very loyal to him. She campaigned for him very hard in 2024. However, he said he needed to move on because key prosecutions were not being done. She was dropping the ball on some big issues. And in the end, she has now become a massive political liability for him and his administration. According now to multiple sources, she begged for her job. Bondi did not want to go. She wanted to serve out the 4 years. At a bare minimum, she wanted to wait at least until after the midterm elections. She found it humiliating. She thought that she was a loyal soldier and that Trump was being unfair to her. Trump responded by saying it has nothing to do with fairness. This has to do with getting our agenda done, especially when it comes to making key arrests. Trump has made it known, even publicly, really since about September, where he's been asking, where are the indictments on Clapper, on Brennan, on many of the key deep state criminals and operatives who framed me for the Russia collusion hoax? Why is Letitia James? Why has that investigation and indictment stalled? James Comey, why has that indictment stalled? And so, yes, she did a very good job prosecuting Antifa, prosecuting drug cartel members, prosecuting criminals. The murder rate is at a 100-year low, but that was low-hanging fruit. We're not talking Don Lemon. She got the Don Lemons. What Trump wanted was the big fish, and he was completely right. That's where she faltered. That's where she fell down on the job. And so apparently she then agreed to leave. He sent out a very, very classy Truth Social thanking her for her service. And in her place, temporarily, will be Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General. He will now be the acting Attorney General until a permanent replacement is chosen. Now, let me make 2 key points, and then I want to open it up to the phone lines. 617-266-6868 is the number. To me, having Todd Blanche become the acting Attorney General, you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Because it is an open secret in Washington, D.C., and it's been widely reported that, yes, Bondi was the face of the DOJ, but it was really Todd Blanche who's been running the day-to-day operations. And it was Todd Blanche, although she got the blame, but it was Blanche along with Bondi that bungled the release of the Epstein files. There's no question. It is Todd Blanche, along with Bondi, that has been obstructing and blocking every attempt to prosecute Democrat criminals, deep state criminals. And so if Todd Blanche is going to be the successor, I don't think he will. But if Todd Blanche goes from acting attorney general to permanent, the next full-time attorney general, nothing is going to change at the Department of Justice. He is part of the problem at the DOJ. It's not just Bondi, it's Blanche. Both of them have to go. Both of them. Now, on top of that, it appears that Bondi, according now to some media reports, and I mentioned this on X, the final straw that broke the camel's back was that it came out and Trump believed that Pam Bondi improperly intervened in the FBI investigation into Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell, Mr. Bang Bang Fang Fang. As you know, Falwell had an alleged sexual relationship with a Chinese spy, Christine Fang. The FBI has been conducting an investigation. They are about to release the documents, a massive document dump on Swalwell and how he compromised national security with his sexual relationship with Bang Bang Fang Fang. Apparently, Pam Bondi, I did not know this, I was shocked to find out. Pam Bondi is close personal friends with that traitor for China. She is friends with Eric Swalwell. And Trump believed that she contacted Swalwell and tipped him off, even leaked documents regarding the FBI investigation, giving him a heads up. As one senior administration source told the Daily Mail, quote, she improperly intervened in the matter. Now, the White House is denying this, Swalwell is denying this, and Pam Bondi is denying this. But this is not something anybody would ever want to admit. Swalwell wouldn't admit it, Pam Bondi certainly would admit it, and it's a huge embarrassment for the White House. If this is true, if it's true, then I think there's no question she had to go, number one, and B, frankly, she's a bit of a scumbag. I'm sorry, I have to call it the way I see it. To me, the fact that she's even friends with someone like him, who the hell is friends with a traitor like Swalwell? Never mind compromise an investigation or tip him off about what the FBI is going to release about their findings about his treasonous, improper sexual affair, relationship with a Chinese spy. Now, apparently, Pam Bondi is going to have a job waiting for her in the private sector. President Trump says it's going to be a very important job. She's also teasing that she's looking forward now to this new chapter in her career, where she says she will defend the president and defend his administration. To me, I think it's obvious they're setting her up to go on to Fox News. And that was the problem with Bondi throughout entire tenure. I know it got many of you in the audience angry every time I said she should be fired, but it was clear to anyone who was paying attention to the inner workings of the DOJ. She was not following through on prosecutions. Things were piling up on her desk. She was afraid to pull the trigger. We're talking about investigations into the fraudulent January 6th committee. She wouldn't do it. Investigations into Adam Schiff. She wouldn't do it. Investigations into Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. She wouldn't do it. So, Democrat crimes, she was looking the other way, and deep state criminals, as I mentioned, like Brennan, like Clapper, I can run down the whole list. People who, after all the documents that have been declassified, should be in jail for trying to frame a president of the United States as an agent of Russia and illegally spying first on his campaign and then on Trump's presidency in his first term. And yet Bondi did nothing. Nothing. And we were way past a year into her tenure, and it was quite obvious to Trump nothing was going to materialize had he kept her on for another 3 months or 6 months or another year or 2 years. And so she's going where she belongs. She spent much of her time as Attorney General on Fox, getting her hair coiffed, her nails done. She was known to constantly hit the salon. Let me be brutally honest with all of you, like I'm in the confessional. I'm feeling a little guilty right now because it's Good Friday. And, you know, for me, Good Friday, I'm very somber. It's a sad day. I think of poor Jesus, how he was, crucified and nailed to a cross. And so, for example, we never play music in our home on Good Friday. I try not to do too much. Certainly, I don't want to, in terms of entertainment or people laughing or, whatever, any kind of joy in the house. I'm like, I want everybody to, like a death in the family. I want it to be much more, very respectful, very somber, very serious. And I just can't help being so freaking happy. And that's Mike is in my ear saying, look at you, you're making fun of someone, who just lost their job on Good Friday of all days. I just can't help it. I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. I'm like, finally. Oh my God. We can finally start getting stuff done on the prosecution front. Oh my God. Oh boy. It was a long battle, but finally we won. So I'm feeling guilty. I'm not going to lie to you. I shouldn't be this happy on Good Friday. Anyway, Pam Bondi, as I said, it's probably going to be two things. She's going to the private sector. They're billing it as a big job. So I'm assuming it's going to be Fox News, which is where she belongs. That and the salon, obviously. So I've never seen an attorney general obsess over her hair, her skin, facials, manicures, pedicures. The woman practically lived in the salon or in the green room at Fox News. And she just did interview after interview after interview, and it was clear that she was already angling for a gig on Fox. That was one of the problems. By the way, she now come out and said, well, I kind of had a feeling that Trump was losing trust and confidence in me. Well, duh. Duh. He went on Truth Social, what was it, in September, and said, what's taking so long on these prosecutions? Is anybody going to be arrested? I'm almost quoting him verbatim. Is anybody going to be held accountable? And then September went to October, and then went to November, and then went to December, and now we're in April. So why didn't you step up your game? Anyway, I think she's going to land on her feet. Big multi-million-dollar contract at Fox News. She's going to cash in. Or really, I'm kind of half joking. If I'm Avon or one of these big cosmetic companies, she's the person I hire. This woman can sell makeup and cosmetics or beauty products like nobody else can. This woman's 60 years old. Look at her. You're like, wow, what do you do to have skin like this, makeup like this, hair like this, nails like this? It's a fountain of youth. You look 20 years younger. So either way, if she goes the cosmetic route as kind of like a spokesman or whatever, or she goes on Fox, look, don't feel sorry for her. This woman's going to make a lot of money, a bundle of money. By the way, I don't think she's going to do well at Fox. I'm not trying to say this to stick her. I'm being honest. You're going to see, I think she's going to be like a lot of these former administration people that get hired. You hire them for the status, thinking they're going to give you some kind of special insight or inside knowledge, and in the end, you look at them and there's nothing compelling there. So I think she's not going to do well at Fox, but anyway, she's going to get paid, she's going to get a contract, and believe me, she's going to cash in and cash in big. So the question now is, who is going to be her successor, her replacement? Todd Blanche is acting Attorney General. It's an interim position. He was obviously Pam Bondi's deputy. There is some chatter in D.C. that Trump may go with Blanche. However, the betting odds are that he's probably going to go with the head of Environmental Protection and the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, Lee Zeldin. Zeldin is a lawyer. He's also was a former member of Congress, a military veteran, by the way, served in Iraq. He's someone who has completely transformed the EPA and unleashed oil and natural gas drilling, or has been part of it, here in the United States by rolling back those insane environmental regulations. He's done a phenomenal job at EPA. Superb. One of the top people in Trump's administration. And so Trump has been so impressed with Zeldin's effectiveness, his efficiency, his work ethic, that he had a conversation with him apparently on Tuesday, the day before he decided to pull the trigger and fire Bondi. And Zeldin said, if you need me, I will be there for you as Attorney General. Now, let me just say this about Lee Zeldin. I think he's a good pick. I think he's a very good, solid pick. I think he's going to be infinitely better than Barbie Blondie. There's no question in my view. However, he's done so well at the EPA. He's done such a good job. I'm thinking leave him there. I mean, if he's that, he really is. He's transformed the EPA. I'm like, if he's done that much of a great job, and he has, keep him where he is, because I think there's even a better pick. I think there's even a better pick than Lee Zeldin. And who is that pick? Who is that person? Okay, Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. Trump fired her. I mean, the news broke yesterday, but technically he fired her Wednesday night. In fact, just before he delivered his national address on the Iran war. And the question now is, do you think President Trump did the right thing? Do you support the firing of Pam Bondi? I'm just curious. You know where I stand. I've been saying this now for I don't know how many months, but I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. And who do you think should be her replacement? Blanche will be Todd Blanche, the deputy AG, will be the interim temporary replacement. He'll be acting Attorney General. But apparently Trump is now eyeing Lee Zeldin, the head of the EPA, to be Bondi's new permanent or whatever full-time successor. So he wants Zeldin to potentially be the next AG. I think he'll be good. I think he's a very good, solid pick. He's clearly a very competent, intelligent, energetic man who's done a phenomenal job at EPA. However, I'd prefer Matt Gaetz. I said this on X last night, and I think we need an absolute pit bull as Attorney General. Someone who's willing to take no prisoners. Someone who's willing to be fearless and take on the swamp and make these high-profile prosecutions, high-profile indictments, high-profile arrests, to really start putting criminals, whether they're from the Democratic Party, who've committed serious crimes, and deep state operatives. I mentioned Brennan, Clapper, but Comey. There's so many that need to go to jail for the unspeakable crimes that they have committed. And so Gaetz, to me, is fearless. He's got the guts. He's got the courage. He's a skilled prosecutor. Now, the only problem is I don't know if he can be confirmed. That's the problem with Gaetz. So if you can't get Gaetz, well, then you've got some other possibilities. If he wasn't currently on the verge of beating John Cornyn in the Texas Republican Senate primary, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, would be a phenomenal attorney general. You want to talk about a pit bull, a bulldog, and MAGA all the way, and just not afraid. This guy will indict any criminal, not afraid of the Democrats, the media, the establishment, you name it. It would be Ken Paxton. The problem now is he's so close to beating Cornyn, and I think Trump is looking at this and saying, Cornyn and Thune have been stabbing me in the back. I need a staunch MAGA conservative in the Senate. Let me stay out of it, leave Paxton alone, let him win the race, because Paxton can serve in the Senate and be a very effective voice for MAGA and for Trump. So that leaves a couple of other players. One person's name, dark horse candidate, I love him, is Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri. Hawley gets a lot of the media attention because Hawley's got just a big-time personality, a lot of charisma. He's extremely articulate, very well-spoken. But Eric Schmidt is, you want to talk about a bulldog. Eric Schmidt is a former prosecutor. He is a killer. He will gut enemies like a fish. And he's the one who's been urging Trump, you've got to go after these, you've got to go after Adam Schiff, you've got to go after Eric Swalwell, you've got to go after Lynn Cheney, you've got to go after the people on the January 6th committee, you got to bury Letitia James, you've got to bury, just write down the list. You've got to make Brennan pay for what they did on Russia, make Clapper pay, make all of them pay. So Schmidt is highly intelligent, tenacious, smart, a real experienced, tough prosecutor. I think he would be absolutely tremendous as Attorney General. And many of you are putting in a vote in for Jeanine Pirro. She's now obviously overseeing the District of Columbia in Washington, but she's also shown, she's feisty, she's tough, and she's not afraid. So I think there are some excellent, excellent candidates for him to pick from. The only guy I don't want is Todd Blanche. Blanche, it's Pam Bondi 2.0. It's Pam Bondi without the eye candy. At least with Pam Bondi, when you see her on Fox, you go, wow, boy, that woman can wear that makeup well. How is that hair so perfectly coiffed? How does she do it? Blanche doesn't smile. He's horrible with the media. He's awkward. He's clumsy. He's been already now embroiled himself in the disaster of the Epstein files and the alleged cover-up. He's tainted in many ways as being so close to Bondi. And as I mentioned in my opening monologue, it wasn't just Bondi that refused to prosecute. It was Blanche. Blanche was obstructing and blocking every prosecution you could think of. So if you put him as the permanent replacement, the full-time replacement, you're just going to get more Pam Bondi. You're going to get more of the same. So I would say no. Bring in a real outsider. Zeldin is good. I think these other picks are even better. That's just me. And have them pick their deputy and do a complete reset on the Department of Justice, and let's start making some arrests, because that's what we voted for. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Lou in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Lou. You're going to kick us off, and welcome.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Jeff. How you doing? It's about time. Let's put it that way. It's been there too long. But a couple things I want to say. Number one, I'll give you a pick right off the bat. You know who's a real pit bull? I've seen her in Congress. Is this Harriet Hageman? This woman is terrific. The one that took the place of Liz Cheney. You ever seen her?
Yeah, no, she's ferocious. You're right. She gets her teeth into you. She doesn't let go. And frankly, that's what you need as a top prosecutor, as a top law enforcement official. You need that kind of character, that kind of personality. You don't need someone who's smiling and happy and wants to get along. And, you don't need, it's, the expression, a show horse. You don't need a show horse. And you're right. She's very tough, very tough.
But Hageman really gets to the heart of everything. I mean, she can really, really dig. And I think you need somebody like that. Although I want to run something by you. Remember Garland? What did you think of Garland?
Merrick Garland?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think of him much as a person. I thought, frankly, he was a scumbag who was going after innocent people. However, if I was a Democrat, I'd be like, that's what I want in an attorney general. Again, if I'm not a Democrat, I don't think like a Democrat. But, look what Garland did. He went after Trump repeatedly, former president of the United States. They indicted him again and again and again. He put Steve Bannon in jail. He put Mike Flynn in jail. He put Peter Navarro in jail. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
He put Rick Davis in jail. He put, Trump supporter after Trump supporter, Trump official after Trump official in jail. And he put, over 1,000 J6ers in prison. And he did it within, the first 2 years of his tenure. Okay, I want to go right back to Lou in Rhode Island. Lou, I thought, was making an outstanding point about, who do you want as an attorney general? And now that Trump is going to pick someone, there's a lot of candidates, a lot of names being bandied about. But, I don't want to put words in Lou's mouth, but he's like, he asked me, and he said, what'd you think of Merrick Garland? I'm like, well, he's a Democrat. He went after innocent people. I can't stand the guy. But when you look at what he did, I mean, he was like a one-man wrecking crew. He was putting everybody in jail. Seriously. Almost the former president himself. And I think what Lou's point is, and I'm going to get to Lou ask him, is why don't we get a guy like Merrick Garland? But for our side. And I don't want him to go after innocent people the way Garland did. But what I'm saying is someone like Garland who's not afraid to indict, charge, and arrest. Say what you want. Again, say what you want about the Democrats. They don't play around. It's been 1 year. Not one person in the Epstein files has been arrested. Not one deep state criminal has been indicted. Not one criminal Democrat has been charged. And there's crimes everywhere. This should be like shooting fish in a barrel. So imagine if we had a conservative or a MAGA Merrick Garland. Holy mackerel. It would be an arrest every day. Mike, by the way, I just want to give everybody a warning. Mike and Sandy, and I said this to Mike just now. I go, nothing motivates both you and Sandy. The glee, the happiness on their face, the smile. They're like kids on Christmas. Than to stick it to the Kuhner man. So I just want to warn everybody, they're coming up with something called the Kuhner cycle. They want to put it on X or on social media or on Twitter. They're working on it. It's going to come, trust me. And it's like the cycle of water. So according to Mike, this all came from Mike. Mike says Trump now looks for a new cabinet position. Kuhner is enthusiastic. Trump picks a new cabinet member. Kuhner loves the pick. Loves the pick. And then within a month or two, according to Mike, then that person starts to make a mistake. And the moment that person starts to make a mistake, Kuhner starts to dump on that cabinet member and starts demanding that they be fired. And then eventually doesn't stop until that person is fired. And then we repeat the cycle all over again. That's what Mike and Sandy are coining the Kuhner cycle. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I do have high standards. I'm a stern, exacting critic. I'm like a tough coach, a basketball or football coach. But, have you heard me complain about, say, RFK Jr.? Yet. Or J.D. Vance? Yet. Or Marco Rubio? Yet. Or, say, I don't know, Doug Burgum? Yet. Or Scott Bessent? Yet. So to me, if you work hard and you deliver, Kuhner man's happy. But if you're off on Fox News and you're not delivering, the Kuhner man is not happy. 617-266-6868. Okay, Lou, I think what you're saying is you don't have to get somebody flashy. You don't need somebody with a big name. You just need somebody who's aggressive, tough, ferocious, as you put it, a pit bull terrier. Somebody who's willing to go after the Democrats and show no quarter. Essentially, almost a Republican form or Republican version of Merrick Garland, correct?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Lou.
Okay, yeah, but basically I'm trying to say is I still see Garland, and I've seen Mueller. They were like duds when they got up there. They were basically, and essentially Garland did get all those things done, but he was a figurehead. You need a team, and you need objectives to go after. I think one of the reasons he let Bondi go right now is because the biggest thing that's coming along, I mean, there's so many other things. You got the whole thing with Fauci and the J6 committee and who's sponsoring Antifa. And I mean, you could probably, and the audience could probably make a list of what they want the Attorney General to do that Bondi hasn't done. That's pretty easy, I think. But you need to get put together like the Democrats do. They have objectives. They know what they want to do, and then they focus on doing it. They find the right venues. They find the right laws to prosecute. They're actually very, very skilled at this kind of litigating, and we need somebody like that who's going to do it. And right now, I think he let Bondi go. The main reason is because the biggest thing that's coming along is this fraud thing, and I think Trump doesn't want to blow it. I think he doesn't want to blow it because that's the biggest thing that's going to defeat the Democrats is the fraud thing that's going across, especially in the blue states. And we need somebody who's really going to go and prosecute all the fraud and do all the work that needs to be done with deporting illegals and illegal criminals. And just Bondi wasn't up to the job. But we need a good, aggressive person. I like Hageman, but there's so many others. Zeldin would be good too. They need a game plan, and they need an aggressive game plan, and they need good underlings like this Jack Smith, who's like a pit bull. And they really need to put the whole justice thing together as well as the Democrats do it, even with a guy who gets up there and he's sort of like a goof, like Garland, who never knew what was going on. We need to have a game plan. We need to have a good. That's basically need a patent there in the.
We need a killer. No, I'm with you, yeah. Lou. Lou, I agree with you. Not 100, as I like to say, but 1,000%. Lou, thank you so much for that call. Look, just super quick. I don't want to get sidetracked, but look, the Democrats, as Lou rightly said, they set out objectives before they even get elected, and they even tell their voters. So remember, Susan Rice said, "We're going to win, and when we win, we're not just going after Trump. We're going to go after his cabinet." We're going to go after anybody in the business world that supported Trump, anybody in the media that supported Trump. We're going to go after his supporters. We're going to start putting people in jail, mass arrests. Listen now to James Carville. This was on Politico. Okay, Politico apparently has their own show. And listen to what he said. We win the midterms. You want to know who we're coming after? Listen now to this. Roll cut 35. Mike.
Then they're going to start going after you. Then they're going to start figuring out where all the money stolen is. Then they're going to go after you stupid kids and their spouses and all the other that you see. And they're going to investigate the out of you.
Yeah, they're going to investigate, I can't say it, the crap out of you. But we're going after your kids. We're going after your spouses, their spouses. We're going to go after Melania. We're going to go after Barron. We're going to go after Eric. We're going to go after Don Jr. We're going to go after their wives. We're going to go after all of them. We are going to destroy you and your family. Do you understand? We're going to use lawfare like we did against you under Biden. Now we're going to do it double, triple, quadruple. And Trump now, I think because he's looking at the polls and says if the election was held today, it'd be a bloodbath. And that's why he realized I can't wait any longer. I mean, I just can't. Because they're going to come after me on made-up crimes. They're coming after my innocent family. What has Trump's family done to deserve to go to jail? What have their wives done to deserve to go to jail? And Trump is like, no, forget it. I need a warrior. And Pam Bondi was many things. She was not a warrior. So she wasn't a fighter. We need a killer. That's what you need as Attorney General. A killer. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Jerry on Cape Cod. Jerry, comrade. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Comrade.
Comrade, how are you?
Здравствует. Jeff,
what do you make of all this, Jerry?
I was shocked when I heard about Pam Bondi's relationship with President Swalwell. I was mortified. Anywho, it just goes to show you that they're all pals behind the scenes, I think. But, Jeff, Lou stole some of my thunder. I like Harriet Hageman a lot. She's a very tough woman. She's very smart. But I think President Trump should speak to John Cornyn from Texas and let him know that he's going to play ball with President Trump from here on out. And President Trump's going to pull Ken Paxton, out of the race and name him Attorney General.
I think Paxton would be a world-class, phenomenal Attorney General. I don't know if we could, all kidding aside, I don't know if you could get a better AG than Ken Paxton. Now, he's not Mr. Personality. He's got a nasty streak. would I want to be married to him? No. I don't know. Would he be like my buddy or my friend? Probably not. But that, I don't care. I'm not asking for a buddy to go to a baseball game with or to marry somebody. I'm asking for a guy that's going to put bad people in jail and will do whatever it takes to put him in jail. And is rough enough and tough enough and mean enough that nothing will scare him or intimidate him. And that's Ken Paxton. He's, you want to talk about a legal killer. He's a legal killer of the first order. So I agree with you. But Jerry, I don't know. I don't think Trump's going to go down that road. I think, one, because MAGA likes Ken Paxton and they're going to vote for him. And it seems to me that he's really got his eyes set on Zeldin. They had that conversation at the White House. Zeldin, again, really impressed him. He likes Zeldin. He thinks he's very good, but also diplomatic. So he thinks he can wear multiple hats as Attorney General. What do you think of Lee Zeldin as the next AG?
A very smart man. I think he's very measured. But, Jeff, he doesn't have, let's put it this way, when I was coaching, I liked players that had that killer instinct. He doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it.
That's my fear. I like the way you phrased it, lacking the killer instinct. That's why I think he's great at EPA. Some people are they're good at what they do, and it doesn't mean they're good at everything. It just means they're very good at what they do. He is extremely good. He's brilliant as the head of the EPA. But Attorney General, you know this better than anybody, Jerry. That's a unique animal. You need a very special kind of person to be Attorney General. And this is my fear with Trump, his track record on picking Attorney Generals is horrible. Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr, Pam Bondi. I'm hoping finally he gets one right. Final word to you, comrade.
Look, the other person that I could think of there's only one other person that I could think of that I would want in there besides Harriet Hageman or Ken Paxton, and that is if you pulled Matthew Whitaker out of NATO and made him the Attorney General. He would put people in jail.
Yes. Yeah, he's very good. What do you, I'm just curious, you didn't mention Gates. Why not Matt Gates?
Matt Gates, I don't know. I really like Matt Gates. And I think he's ferocious, and he's got a zest for things. He loves the truth. He's a lion for the truth. But I don't know. I think we've already been down that road once, haven't we? And it didn't work out too well. I don't think you can get him confirmed. I think Gates is hated so much by people in Congress and the Senate that I don't think he'll get him passed through.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I said as well, Jerry. I go, look, I love the guy, but just, you got to do the math, and the math I don't think is there for him in terms of the Senate and the votes. And, Trump's got to get a pick in quick. He can't have a protracted fight. I mean, he just can't. So he's got to get prosecutions going. He's got to get indictments going. He's got to get the base fired up and re-energized for the midterms. And I think that's another reason why he couldn't wait much longer on Bondi. He's like, look, the base is demoralized. The base is not happy. The base wants these deep state criminals to go to jail. I can't wait much longer. So he needs a protracted nomination fight for Attorney General as he needs a hole in the head. So I agree with you completely, comrade. He's going to have to find someone that's effective, ferocious, and that has the votes in the Senate, and he can get it through. Thank you very much for that call, as always, and a happy Easter. All the best to you and your family, comrade. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Dane in Florida, the Freedom State. Thanks for holding, Dane, and welcome.
Yes, Jeff, good Friday to you. Jeff, it was a no for me on Pam Bondi when she came down the escalator. I'm on the record that she would be a big mistake. I don't know who was worse, Jeff Sessions picked from Trump or her. Anyway, here's my choice, and I'm telling you, and I'll tell you why. Sidney Powell, okay? She's the author of the book, License to Lie, Exposing Corruption in the Department of Justice. She was a former federal prosecutor. She's got chesticles when it comes to going after the deep state. She knows all about the illegal voting machines and the hammer and scorecard patent that's used by Barack Obama to fix the elections, okay? She's very knowledgeable. She knows it all. Okay, also, she knows she's with Trump because Letitia James went after her too, tried to prosecute Sidney Powell. So you know that she's vetted already, and she's in Trump's court. One other thing too, I'll never forget when Sidney Powell, I brought her in for a speech one time in California, and one of the things that she reiterated, she said something that was very provocative. Fraud vitiates everything. So all the fraud that they perpetrated on us in voting and illegals and all these illegal citizens, fraud vitiates everything. So if fraud was committed in any of those acts, it vitiates everything. So it's not legal. What do you say about it, Jeff? I mean, who's your pick?
If I was advising him, Sidney Powell, I think, has been brilliant on election integrity, on voter fraud. I think she's got. You're right. She's got a pair. I know she's a woman, but this woman has got a spine of steel. And she's right, by the way. Fraud does vitiate everything. And so you want to talk about someone that's willing to go for the political jugular. She will go for the throat. Ideally, I think Matt Gaetz is tailor-made to be Attorney General. Realistically, I don't think he can get picked. If Ken Paxton was not locked in this primary fight that he's probably going to win now, I'd say Ken Paxton all the way. If that can't happen, I know he's an obscure guy, but I don't want someone who's flashy. Eric Schmidt, take a look at him. He is very good. He is very tough. He's smart. He's a former prosecutor. He is MAGA to the core. To the core. And he's not afraid. And he's got connections in the Senate. In other words, he's got people like him. People will vote for him. Remember, you need somebody, again, it's the math. You got to focus, you need someone minimum 50 votes and JD as the tiebreaker. I think Eric Schmidt can get you your 50. And I like him more than Lee Zeldin. I like Lee. I think he's a good pick. I think he's much better than Pam Bondi, no question. But I would leave him at EPA because you'll see what I mean. He's a great guy. He's a very smart guy. He's a very competent, talented guy. It's the way Jerry on the Cape put it. It's that killer instinct that you need, that nasty streak that, I'm going to get you. I don't care. I'm just going to, I know you're a criminal and I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to get you. And I don't care what it takes, but I'm going to get you. You need that kind of a personality, that kind of a character type. And Schmidt is much more that character type than Zeldin. And that's why I think for AG, you need that. You need a gunslinger. Let's put it that way. You need a political gunslinger. And Zeldin is, he's a little bit more of a diplomat. Smart guy, competent guy, a measured guy, well-spoken, smart as hell. But Schmidt, you need someone that's not afraid to get in there and just bite your head off. In other words, I'm going to indict, and I don't care what anybody says. So I like him a lot. But look, to me, no matter what, she had to go. And from this point forward, unless he goes with Blanche, to me, anybody's better. Like, you're going to see things improve immediately. Immediately. So to me, that's a win. Her being gone is a win. Dane, thank you so much for that call. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, Mike, can I squeeze one more in before the break? Mike? Yeah, all right, Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome.
Hopefully I got enough time to say this, Jeff. Happy Easter to everybody. Bona Bosco to all my paisans. And happy Good Friday.
Happy Easter. All the best to you and your family, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Bruce, what do you make of, were you surprised that the announcement came yesterday, Trump has fired Pam Bondi?
I don't like that word fired. She got the gate, and we're going to get the gate, and Gate's going to give all these Democrats a gate. So anyways, getting back to it, I'm on my way to crime-free Lowell right now. Jeff, I ran into a guy who's you're not going to believe it. I'm talking to him. He sees my flag on my antenna on my car, and I had met him before. I met him a while ago, and he's an ex-military guy. We've discussed it, how I support, our military, police, and he ends up being an ICE agent.
Okay, let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. Did President Trump do the right thing in removing Pam Bondi as Attorney General? In other words, did he do the right thing in firing her? A, yes. B, no. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. You can also vote via X, my handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in National ER. Let's go to Jeff in the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call, and good Friday to you and your family.
Good Friday to you and your whole family, Jeff.
Okay. As on your poll, it's definitely it's about 6 months overdue. And you agree because you were giving her till like the end of the year. So it had to be done. It's just too bad it ate up a lot of time, precious time that Trump has. As far as picking a replacement, I really wanted somebody that nobody's ever heard of. It seems like a good stock. Once you hear of a good stock, it's already too late. It's already been tainted. But I don't know much about this woman, but I do know she was in Trump's corner down in Florida. And I hate to say Florida again because we get a lot of people from there and they're paying out. Her name is Eileen Cannon. But I'm just throwing that out there, see if it sticks to the wall. But I'd be happy to hear somebody that's getting that position I've never heard of before.
Well, that's a very, very interesting point, Jeff. In other words, why does the person always have to be a high-profile, almost a celebrity name? I mean, celebrity is a bit much, but, a well-known, high-profile person. I agree with you. You want someone that's got the character, that's got the temperament, that's got the ability, the intelligence to do the job. Or as Mark on Messenger is saying, please say it, Jeff. Balls, 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 balls. Someone that has the balls to do it. There are very few people that have it. I mean, it's just a fact. And, you're right. Look, she's, I think you're talking about the judge, right? The judge in Florida. Is that who you're talking about, Jeff?
Yeah, but,
Eileen Cannon?
Yeah, yep.
Look, you want to talk about balls. I mean, the woman, you want to talk about, honestly, guts and intestinal fortitude and courage. She has it in spades. Man, she ruled against the Democrats and they were outraged and she didn't care. Absolutely didn't care. She's one tough cookie. And she's sharp. She's smart. She's extremely well qualified. Now, would you want to give up a judgeship to go to that snake pit that's Washington, D.C.? I don't know. But I'm just saying, I like the way you're thinking. In other words, Jeff, let's go outside the box on this one. Let's go somewhere where they're not expecting and get someone who's super qualified and get someone underneath the radar. And look, Larry on Messenger made another point, and I think he also makes a very good point, where he says, Jeff, we've got to stop depleting our forces in terms of picking people who are doing a very good job, say either in the Senate or in Congress or in the cabinet or in an agency, and then pulling them from these areas to do other jobs. Because you want to keep good, competent people in the positions that they're in. So, in a way, you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. In other words, yeah, Lee Zeldin is a good guy, great pick. Well, not a great pick, but he's a good pick. But he's phenomenal at EPA. So, you pull him out of EPA, it hurts EPA. So, let's keep adding to the team, not reshuffling the team or pulling people from certain positions where maybe they're better suited and, to get them to do jobs, high profile, very important position like Attorney General. Look, honestly, at this point, Jeff, I think anybody would be better than Bondi. She didn't do anything. Outside of a few arrests, the woman didn't do anything. And you can't, as Attorney General, you're dead in the water. And I think Trump realized that. And to be frank, he would have fired her much earlier. Look, all the reports I'm reading now, by September, October, he had it with her. That was last year. And because they were close personal friends, he let her stay on longer, hoping that she would get better and better. And instead, she just didn't. And that's when he said, I can't wait. I can't wait any longer. And so he was dissatisfied with her in September. And I think, honestly, by September it was pretty obvious she just wasn't up for the job. Jeff, thank you very much for that call. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. I want to ask all of you, country shocked, second major shakeup in Trump's cabinet. Kristi Noem was the first one to be let go. Now, however, it's the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Trump told her Wednesday night, you're out. Good decision, bad decision, and who do you think should be Pam Bondi's replacement? Okay, what do you make of Trump's decision to get rid of Pam Bondi as the Attorney General? The news broke yesterday. And who do you think should be her replacement? Who do you want to see as the next Attorney General? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text the Kuhner Man, 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, and by the way, I think this is a brilliant text. Jeff, here's how I would approach the Attorney General pick. J.D. Vance has a good legal mind. For the interview, I would get J.D. to vet all the candidates on the basis of how each would indict whom, the legal basis upon which each deep state lawfare criminal would be prosecuted, and most importantly, the strategy to combat the interference and resistance of all the current deep state judges. So, for example, the Clintons are low-hanging fruit for indictment, for charity fraud, for their abuse of the Clinton Foundation, which is nothing short of money laundering and a bribery scheme. The right Attorney General nominee would be able to show the path and timeline to prison in that interview. The right Attorney General would also have Ilhan Omar on a plane back to Somalia in a week. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I think that's exactly the kind of interview you want. You put 3-4 candidates in there and say, look, Bill and Hillary Clinton, what say you? Ilhan Omar, what say you? Barack Obama, what say you? John Brennan, Clapper, Comey, what say you? Letitia James, what say you? And see if they have a coherent strategy and a timeline to put these people in prison because they are guilty as sin. And I think that's how you pick the next Attorney General. In other words, take the gloves off. We're not playing around. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let's go to John in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure, John.
Hey, I've heard a lot of really good names, but nobody's mentioned Harmeet Dillon.
Harmeet Dillon?
Yeah.
Oh, she'd be phenomenal. She'd be great.
She's
excellent.
Freaking fearless.
Excellent.
And very smart and tenacious. You know, and she's already done a lot, but I think she would be really good pick.
John, let me ask you this, and maybe this shows how disappointed I've been for so long in the Attorney General position and how little we've gotten as conservatives over the last 10 years. So maybe that just reflects, my, my desperation at this point. But, I'll take anybody that is just willing to put anybody who's a Democrat criminal in jail. Really, you're like, Jeff, what do you want? I'm like, honestly, how is Adam Schiff still walking around free as a bird? How is Eric Swalwell, who slept with a Chinese spy and compromised and gave away national security classified information, this guy now is running for governor of California? Like, I'm sorry, this offends my dignity. I'm not even, forget Obama or of course, I'd love to see them in jail for what they've done, but forget Obama and the Clintons and, I'll take Schiff. Hell, I'll take Letitia James. Does anybody on the Democrat side pay a price for breaking the law and abusing their power? I want anyone. I just want an attorney general that is not afraid to put some deep state hack or some Democrat criminal who broke the law in jail. I'm not even asking for much. Just give me one or two, something, so that they know the next time, such and such went to jail. It could be me. I won't do it. I don't know, John. Am I wrong?
You got to look at the other side of the coin here. We're not going to be. We're not going to have the majority long. Sooner or later, the communists are going to make it into office, and they're going to release all those people. They will. So something's got to be done. But I just fear nothing's going to be done. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's one thing about the Democrats, and you got to give it to them. They set their sights on something. They group together. I mean, the Republicans, they scatter like cockroaches. They're feckless. They're spineless. We got to get the rhinos out of there. Thune's got to go. I'm just tired of seeing things start to build steam and then they just kind of fizzle out. It's like a bottle rocket.
Oh, John, I agree. I so agree. No, look, I like Harmeet Dillon for many reasons. A, she's very qualified. She's obviously a very talented, impressive legal mind. But she's a fighter. She's a fighter. She's tough. She's ferocious. She doesn't let go. When she sets her sights on a target, on a criminal, she locks in and she gets her man or her woman. And that's what you need as Attorney General. And I just want someone who's serious and who's a fighter. I don't want another Jeff Sessions. I don't want another Bill Barr. I don't want another Pam Bondi. I'm just tired of being disappointed in the AG over and over and over. And what breaks my heart is that we've lost over a year. That's time we'll never get back. We lost 14 months with Bondi. And anyway, look, it's better late than never. To me, that's, I believe in that. But still, so we need someone that we can confirm quickly and that will be on the job and on the ball quickly and is not afraid to put Democrats in jail, period. Period. And I'm not saying put innocent people. God forbid. No, never. But the guilty ones, and there's so many of them, indict them, arrest them, prosecute them, and jail them. John, thank you so much for that call. And I love the pick. Harmeet Dillon, I would support 1,000%. Heather in Maine. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, Heather. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you so much. I love Jeanine Pirro. I think she's a fighter. She's a barracuda. And I think she's very loyal to Trump. I think she'd be a great pick.
I agree. I mentioned her earlier on in the show, and I like her. I think she's formidable. She doesn't play around. She's not afraid. That's the most important thing. I think she's loyal to Trump. She's MAGA. She knows where the bodies are buried. The only thing, Heather, I'm not saying I'm against her. I would support her again all the way, all the way. I don't know if she could get confirmed. That's the only thing. That's the only idea. And I'll tell you why. It's not because she doesn't have the talent or the ability. She clearly does. It's that because when she was on Fox, she was kind of like a commentator, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But she commented on other issues besides the law. Thomas in Florida. Thanks for holding, Thomas, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I am fired up today.
Oh, listen, it's when I heard that news yesterday, I'm like, hallelujah, hallelujah. And now I think really you can feel the energy again in the Trump administration. You can just feel it. So I'm excited. Thomas, I think we're going to start to see some Democrats go to jail. It's going to take a few more months, but I think finally they're going to be held accountable. And that's why they're worried. The media is in a panic, and they should be in a panic. But please, Thomas, go ahead.
I got a bunch of ideas here. I was thinking Jean Pirro, like I agree with you. I don't think she'll get confirmed because she's made some enemies. Another dark horse, Mark Green, that was part of the committee. I guess he didn't go for re-election, headed the against the illegals. Another pick, possibly a deputy, a supporting role would be Article 3 guy, Mike Davis.
Yes, he's very smart.
And he was clerk for Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch. I think that would be possibly a good move, Supreme Court-wise. And it could be a connection that would be good. There's a lot of Hami Dillon, I'm not so high on. I don't think she has the killer instinct like a Mike Davis or there's so many that are, John Eastman that was prosecuted in Georgia. He's an excellent attorney. So those are some ideas.
Thomas, I think they're all excellent. Every single one. Look, my favorite of the whole crew, I like Harmeet Dillon. Unlike you, I prefer Harmeet Dillon than I think. My opinion of her is higher than yours. But that's a small little thing. I like Jeanine Pirro a lot. I really like her a lot. She's feisty. She's very articulate. She's got a keen legal mind. She does have that killer instinct. She does smell blood, and when she smells blood, she smells blood, she goes for the jugular. The only thing, and this is not a rap as a person against her, far from it. She's intelligent, she's versatile, she's can comment on many issues, she's well read. It's just that because of the nature of the job she had at Fox, she didn't just comment on the law or legal issues. She commented on politics, on culture, on a wide range of things, which is fine. It just shows you she's a Renaissance woman. She's well read. But I'm just saying in this current environment, with the Senate narrowly divided, and remember, we're going to need a couple rhinos to support any nominee. So you got Murkowski, you've got Susan Collins, you've got Mitch McConnell. I mean, just think of these people. So I know that over the years, she said a few things, to me, doesn't bother me at all, but would be considered, and I'm putting this in air quotes, controversial for the Senate. And so if Trump was to nominate her, I would say we've got to vet her and go through the tapes and go through the transcripts. Like, Jeanine, did you ever say anything on Fox that, is not a problem for a conservative to say, but with these idiots in the Senate, especially these squishy rhinos, John Thune and all these others, that if the Democrats or the media starts yelling and screaming, they're going to run for the hills. So that's the only thing that would concern me about Jeanine Pirro. because look, if we had time, I'd say send her up there and let's fight for her and we get her over the line. Great. But we don't have time for a protracted nomination fight because the midterms are around the corner. We need arrests. We need arrests soon. So we got to get someone that's good, but that can also clear that Senate hurdle, get confirmed, and confirmed relatively quickly. So to me, that's the only thing about Jeanine, Pirro that I'd say, well, let's give it a second thought. But other than that, look, if he nominates her, I'm for her all the way. Believe me, you can do a hell of a lot worse than Jeanine Pirro. So, look, again, the audience has been phenomenal. I think, if Trump's people are listening, and I'm telling you they are, I mean, look at the names we're putting on the table. First of all, they're all better than Lee Zeldin. No disrespect to Zeldin, because he's been incredible at EPA. Okay, he's the best administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency ever in the history of the EPA, ever. So in the last 50 plus years. Okay, he's phenomenal as EPA head. But I'm talking AG now. It's a different animal, different position, different skill sets. He's a good pick. He's much better than Pam Bondi. So if Trump goes ahead with Lee Zeldin, I'm like, no, this is a big step up. It's better, much better. And Zeldin will get some people. He's going to get some scalps. Zeldin he's a mission accomplished kind of a guy. So you give him a task and a goal, he will achieve it. But I think almost every pick, every name that's been thrown out is even better than Zeldin. So why settle for good? Why settle for B plus when you can go for A or an A plus? I mean, just my thinking, just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. To me, Bondi was an F. Not even a D minus, an F. Sessions, an F. Bill Barr, an F. So Zeldin, B plus. B plus is a ton better than an F. Thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it, Thomas. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Steve in Revere. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner.
Hi, Steve.
Some months back, the hot topic was federal funding being withheld from cities and states who were aiding and abetting illegal aliens. And I called you up, and I was kind of frustrated. I was like, hey, well, why are we going to put up with withholding funds? Why don't we just go right for the head of the snake and start the prosecutions? And if I remember correctly, your response was it was Pam Bondi. She just won't do it. She won't,
That's right.
do what needs to be done.
That's right.
So, I'll preface by saying, hey, look, I'm not educated enough to start throwing out names, but I would say I hope, this will go into Mr. Trump's, decision making. Somebody who may be willing to go after these criminal trespassers, the people who aid and abet them, and start, looking at the governors and mayors. What do you think? You think that would have a
Steve, Michelle Wu belongs behind bars. And I don't say that lightly. Healy belongs in jail. Mamdani belongs in jail. Hochul belongs in jail. I'm not going to go every state and every city, but Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Pritzker, that slob, the governor of Illinois, he should be in handcuffs. Why? Because they're running illegal operations. A sanctuary city is illegal. A sanctuary state is illegal. Jacob Fry and Tim Waltz should be in prison. They are aiding and abetting violent, dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens. And not just that, on top of it, they are enabling massive welfare fraud. And by the way, I want to cover this next week, I promise, because, the war, the SAVE Act, these are huge issues. They're now starting to find, J.D. Vance has been now tasked with this, he's the head of this anti-fraud task force. He's now the anti-fraud czar. JD, in a week, has now found, listen to this, that in California alone, just in California, $50 billion a year, with a B, not with an M, with a B, just in Medicaid fraud. In California, one state, $50 billion has been stolen every year, mostly by illegal aliens or con men or grifters or hacks in the Democratic Party, but they're found initially $50 billion a year, every year, gone, stolen, just in Medicaid fraud. Now, how is Gavin Newsom still standing? How is Karen Bass, that crazy communist mayor of LA, still standing? This is all being stolen primarily by illegal aliens. So what I'm saying is these sanctuary city mayors and governors should be behind bars. No one has the guts to put them behind bars. Now, is the media going to hate you? You better believe it. Are the Democrats going to be in an uproar? You better believe it. Are you going to be the most unpopular person in Washington? You better believe it. Okay? You're going to be target numero uno after Trump. So that's what I mean when I say, look, it's Attorney General, it's a different kind of animal, the kind of person you want. You need someone, I don't care if I'm hated by everybody in the world. I'm going to get him, and I'm going to get him, and I'm going to get him, because they're criminals. And there are very few people who can do that. And so that's why, look, I can just tell you this. Lee Zeldin, and you can take this to the bank. Let's say it's Lee Zeldin, just for the sake of argument. Okay, he goes with Zeldin. Zeldin is going to be the best AG pick Trump has ever made. Zeldin will blow Bondi, Barr, and Sessions out of the water. It may not be as aggressive as we would like, as we want. There's other candidates that we think would be even stronger and better. But my point is, just with Lee Zeldin, you watch. Because Zeldin is going to go after some people. He will. I think we're going to say he could do more, he could get more. You know, hey, come on, Lee, stop dotting your I's and crossing your T's. Come on. But you're going to see people go to jail under Lee Zeldin. That's just a fact. So already, it's a massive improvement. But I want to go for the gold. And part of going for the gold, Steve, is I want to see at least one sanctuary mayor or one sanctuary governor go to jail for running a sanctuary a jurisdiction. Frankly, you just need one, because that will send a message to everybody else. So give me somebody who has the guts to do it. Steve, thank you so much for that call. Okay, 8 o'clock, you know what that means. Kuhner's call log, caller of the week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Mark.
I have a much more pessimistic view of this, and it doesn't matter whether I was for the war or against the war, or whether I think NATO is worth continuing on. We are cutting and running a la Joe Biden in Afghanistan, and look what's going on there. These mullahs have an insane desire to kill every person in this world that does not believe the way that they do. They will come back with a vengeance. If I lived in Israel, I'd be buying plane tickets and land in Iceland, because that's the only place they're going to be safe. We're going to lose the midterms because of this, another cut and run. The Ayatollahs will rebuild. Why would we believe any timeline that we've heard? They're not 20 years out. In 3 or 4 years, they're going to be back at it. And the United States will be target number one, because they're not going to forget. These people don't forget. They haven't forgotten since the Crusades, for God's sake. I'm a triple Trumper, and I'm so disgusted that he has now given away the midterms. There will be no Iron Dome, and Iran will rise again.
I'll be back. Be here every weekday on the Kuhner Report between 6 and 10 a.m. And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Best callers in the business. Honestly, best audience in the business. And again, this week, hit it out of the park. I don't know how Mike does it. I wouldn't envy his job. I really don't. He's the one that picks the caller of the week, and there's so much to choose from. You know, to me, it's like when I go to Burger King or McDonald's. Really. Do I go for the Big Mac? Do I go for the quarter pounder with cheese? Do I go for the chicken nuggets? I mean, the new Big Arch. By the way, it's delicious. The new Big Arch is amazing. So I'm just, what do you order? You know what I mean? Like, where do you go? Anyway, okay, my friends, the best way to listen to the Kuhner Report is on the iHeartRadio app, and now we're launching something brand new. Kuhner's Talk Back, tit for tat. Just look for the red microphone in the upper right corner of the app and leave a message for the Kuhner Man, or for Sandy, for Mike. Agree, disagree, respond, react, anything goes. Leave your talkbacks anytime during the week. And every Monday, as we did last Monday, in the final segment, we'll play the best ones on the air. So download the iHeart app, hit that red mic, baby, and join Kuhner's Talkback, tit for tat. Trey in the Peach State, Georgia. Thanks for holding, Trey, and welcome.
How you doing, Mr. Jeff? Happy Good Friday to you, sir.
Good Friday to you as well, Trey.
Okay, so I got a question. We keep debating on who should be the next Attorney General. But when it comes to this, is my question for you now. No matter who Trump picks, right, it's still got to be voted in by the Senate, correct?
Yes, it has to be confirmed by the Senate.
All right, so even if we got somebody extremely aggressive, which I do want, because I promise you, you're not the only person, or your listeners for that matter, to want to see some kind of justification with your Democrats and stuff. But I'm telling you right now, if Trump makes his pick and the Senate still has to confirm, and it's who he wants, because I think with Donald Trump's decisions that he's made since, his second term, he's getting very limited on time, so I'm looking at it as wanting somebody very aggressive. You follow what I'm saying? I want somebody to come in there with little time he's got left to get things right and start prosecuting. I mean,
Trey, if you don't mind me, I got to say, I love your accent. I love the Southern accent. To me, it's the most beautiful accent in North America. I say this to Southerners when they call in all the time, especially from Georgia and the Carolinas. I don't know what it is, but I could just listen to that accent all day. Just talk, and I'll just listen. I love the accent. But anyway, Trey, I want to ask you, if you had the ear of the next Attorney General, and he says, listen, Trey, I've got limited time. I can only get a couple of people. I can't get everybody. I just don't have the time anymore. Who would you want above everyone else? What's the number one person you would like to see arrested, indicted, prosecuted, and go to jail? Who would you like to see pay for their crimes?
Yeah, this ain't even my state, but I like to see Tim Walz, because that man's just as blank as day is long. He acts like he doesn't know what was going on in the state. He's crooked, man. You can't have that much going on and not know what's going on in your own state before somebody sits there and says, hey, look, man, you're part of the problem. Matter of fact, you're encouraging the problem. So, yeah, I would like, he's not even, it's my tax dollars, it's your tax dollars, and I sit here looking at this man, I'm like, and you got a blank stare on your face. Nah, you got to go, buddy. I'd love to see him prosecuted. Omar, too. She's a congressman.
To see her put on a plane back to Somalia. Oh, what I would get, Trey, what I would give for that. I think most of the country, I'm not kidding, they could do it on pay-per-view. Like her in handcuffs, and they're walking her to the plane, and, Air Somalia. and they fly her back. $100 pay-per-view. Trump could fill up the treasury. I'm not kidding. Cut the deficit in half. Yeah, like everybody watching now. Yeah, the space with the Artemis right now. Like the whole country would be like, oh, just to see her get on that plane, to see that witch. You know what I really want to call her, Trey? I can't. To see that bee, that conniving, fraudulent bee, that Islamist loving, Jew hating bee, just to put her on that plane and see her fly her ass out of the country. Oh. $99.99. That's what I would charge. $99.99 pay-per-view. And all proceeds go to the government. To help ICE with more deportations. Trey, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Really good call. He wants Tim Waltz. I'd love to see Waltz in handcuffs. Oh, I'd love him and Omar. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm not even greedy. That's what I love about Kuhner Country. I've got members, listeners, Jeff, I want Brennan gone. I want, just run down the whole list. I want Clapper. I want Comey. I want the Clintons. I want Obama. I want the Bidens. I want them all. And I'm like, I'll take Tim Waltz. I'm with Trey. I'll take Ilhan Omar. Just give me something, for God's sake. Somebody pay a price for their crimes. Somebody. 617-266-6868. Well, Fauci got pardoned, Mike. So Mike is, Mike is saying, what about Fauci? I go, oh my God. Oh, would I love to see that SOB behind bars. But, Biden gave him that pardon. That's why the auto pen scandal has to be investigated. Because that pardon was illegitimate. Because it wasn't Biden who gave the pardon. See, that's what I mean. There are all these cases that Pam Bondi turned a blind eye to or punted it's all there on her desk and she wouldn't touch it. Okay, let me ask you, did Trump make the right move in removing Pam Bondi as the Attorney General? And a lot of names are being thrown around. Lee Zeldin, the EPA chief, apparently met with Trump. He seems to have he seems to be the front runner to have the inside track on becoming the next replacement for Pam Bondi, but nothing has been set in stone yet. A lot of names are being floated. Is there anyone in particular you would like to see as the next Attorney General? And who are some of the people you would love to see the next AG arrest? What is it for you that you want the next Attorney General to prioritize? And which people do you think need to be arrested for their crimes? Whether they're Democrats or deep state operatives, whatever it is. Trey in Georgia said it's got to be Tim Waltz up in Minnesota. He is drowning, swimming in fraud and playing stupid the entire time. And Ilhan Omar as well. Some people did something. And, what is it, 44 million now? She made $44 million in 2 years. You can't make this stuff up. And the massive fraud scandal in Minneapolis took place right in her district in the Somali community. So you want to talk about this woman being up to her eyeballs in fraud. She committed financial fraud. She committed marriage fraud. She committed immigration fraud. How this woman hasn't been deported yet is beyond me. Eddie in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Easter. I'd like to correct you a little bit there. I don't think Tim Waltz is playing stupid. I think he just is stupid.
You think he just is stupid?
Yes. I mean, he doesn't seem to be getting any money out of this. Jeff, my candidate for Attorney General, I don't know why nobody's brought it up yet, is Trey Gowdy.
As AG?
Yes.
Now, why? Why would you like to see Trey Gowdy?
I think he's a bulldog. He goes right after everybody. He had a phenomenal record in South Carolina as a prosecutor. And he's, you're not replacing a congressman or a senator. I just think, I don't know. I think he's worth taking a look at.
Well, I mean, I don't know, frankly, if he'd want to leave his gig at Fox, because he's got a very nice gig. He's got that weekend show, and you see him occasionally as an analyst, and he's a paid contributor. AG is, you're burning them. If you do it well, if you do it properly. If you're Bill Barr, you're at the Capitol Grill Steakhouse by 5 o'clock every day, shoving a porterhouse steak and, a bottle of wine down your throat. But if you actually do the job Bondi's at the salon, but if you actually do the AG job the way it's supposed to be done, you're putting in massive hours. I mean, you're burning the midnight oil. It's a hard job on every level. It's physically demanding. It's very hard on your family. It's very demanding in terms of, your, how do I say this? Your public profile, your public image takes a beating, because if you go after Democrats and you start putting them in jail, the media, the establishment, Hollywood, the Democrat machine, they will revile you. They will smear you. They will attack you. I mean, you'll become the most hated man in America. And that's hard for a lot of people. I mean, it just is. So, I don't know if Gowdy wants to give up a really nice, cushy gig at Fox to suffer and endure all of this. So, Eddie, look, I'm sure Trump would love to have him because he likes to watch Fox News. But to be honest, I think on this one, Eddie, I think it's Trey Gowdy. I don't think think about it, Eddie. If you were him, would you take the job?
It depends on, what he has a feeling for. I think he'd enjoy this stuff. I think, like you said, he was a great prosecutor. And, there were bombs tossed at him there. Now it's a lot less than he'd get at the Attorney General. But he's always talking about crime.
Well, there's a lot of crime if you want to prosecute as AG. You're right. I mean, look, to me, the problem with the Attorney General position is, who do you go after first? Like, that's what I mean. There's so many criminals. It's like, well, where do I start? Like, that, to me, that's the most challenge. I mean, do you go after the Obamas? Do you go after the Bidens? Do you go after the Clintons? I don't know. Do you go after the J6 committee? Do you go after Adam Schiff? Do you go after Swalwell? Do you go after Comey? Do you go after Brennan? Do you go after Clapper? I mean, do you go after McCabe? Do you go after Letitia James? So, it's like, where do you want to go first? And then, and you try to build off of that. So, if you like to put criminals behind bars and you like to go after crime, this is the golden age to be the Attorney General. The problem is Trump now, first term and now his second term, the poor guy is cursed. He can't get an Attorney General that wants to put anybody behind bars. Sessions put nobody behind bars. Okay, my friends, just very, very quickly, in terms of Pam Bondi, to me, this was clearly one of the key moments that showed to me she was out of her league, out of her depth, and she never really recovered from this point, and it was quite early on. This is Pam Bondi on Fox. This is shortly after she was confirmed as Attorney General. And, of course, all the rage was Epstein and the Epstein files. Now, remember, she was the one who invited all of these social media influencers, talk radio hosts, podcasters, bloggers, to come to the DOJ, to come to the Department of Justice. And remember, she gave out all of these binders with all of these, documents allegedly about Epstein. And she said, this is only phase one. You guys are going to get everything. The cover-up is over. We're going to blow the whistle on Epstein and the Epstein pedophile network. And we're going to release everything. And then they quickly found out she was lying, that she was a fraud, because everything she put in those binders had already been public knowledge. It had already been released to the public. So she basically gave them nothing. She was playing them. So people were angry, rightfully so. And then they said, are you going to release more? And she said, oh, yeah. In fact, I have Epstein's client list. The most powerful men in the world. Epstein's clients. I know their names. We know exactly where they are and what their crimes are. And they're sitting on my desk as I speak to you now. Roll cut 34, Mike.
One of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about, the DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
Okay, so Trump gave the order, according to her, released the list, released the client list, and it's on my desk. It's on my desk. It's right. Let me just let me just look at it and vet it, and then you're going to get it. And then, of course, she shut down the Epstein probe. She said, no, we're not going to release any of the Epstein files. And then, and nobody believes her. Nobody believed her, and nobody believes her. Now, suddenly, there was no client list. So what was sitting on your desk? Listen now to this. Roll cut 34A, Mike.
First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that.
All right. Okay. Meaning an agent of a foreign power, Epstein. So it went from I have the client list to there is no client list to I wasn't talking about the client list. I was talking about the files. Okay. So it was disaster to disaster to disaster. And then she refused to release the Epstein files. It took an act of Congress, by the way, practically unanimous. There was only one person who voted against it. That's it. Outside of that one person in the House, unanimous in the House, unanimous in the Senate. Outside of that one person. Basically forcing her to release the Epstein files. And to this day, we still haven't gotten everything. There are still, 2-3 million documents that they're refusing to release. Her goose was cooked. She never recovered. She was tainted. She was morally stained by this. She lost a lot of her credibility and legitimacy. And from that moment, I believe she never recovered. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Jerry in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Jerry, and welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, listen, I think Trump should forget about asking. He should just start telling. He picks an attorney general, someone he needs viciousness more than intelligence. Whoever it is will have enough intelligence. They got to be aggressive and vindictive. You want vindictive, anti-communist, and a lone wolf. No wife, no kids. A lone wolf, preferably. And then he just resets the points. I'm not asking. I don't want to wait for your confirmation. I know you're not going to confirm anyone who would be effective. So I'm just recess appointing him. And by the way, I am going to primary all of your rear ends when the time is right. But right now, I'm just going to recess appoint him, or I'm going to pick him as interim, and I'll take my time looking for the right one. But don't call me; I'll call you. And that's basically what he does. That's all. No more asking. Tell. He's got to start telling. And don't wait for any of these people. You should know by now. Anyone who would be effective, who's going to go after the Clintons, who's going to go after Obama, Biden, Nancy Pelosi for ripping the State of the Union up. Anyone who's going to do that is going to be not confirmed. They're going to give him a hard time. All right, so
Jerry, let me ask you this, because I like the way you're thinking, and I think it's a very interesting point. In other words, and by the way, that's how you can get a Matt Gaetz. Now, it's like for 210 days, but it doesn't matter. Then you get someone else for 210 days, and then someone else for 210 days. And you're just tearing the Democrats to pieces at this point. But Jerry, let me ask you this, because I'm listening to you and I'm like, this is what the Democrats do. For example, they put up Merrick Garland. Okay, now whatever you think about him, he went after a former president of the United States, Trump, the leading presidential candidate. He was leading Biden and every other candidate. And they were going to put him behind bars for 500 years. And the Democrats backed him all the way. It was a complete united front. My question to you, because you're saying, tell, don't ask. How come the Democrats ask and they get? They put up a guy like Garland, and they know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to rip Trump's throat out and destroy him and his family on manufactured, made-up charges. An innocent man. And yet the Democrats can do it, and there's not a problem. And many Republicans just turn a blind eye. They don't care. But if Trump wants to put up an honest attorney general who's going to go after real criminals and traitors, you rightly put it, he can't ask, because if he asks, they're going to shut him down. So why is it the Democrats can get a Merrick Garland and we can't get a Matt Gaetz or a Ken Paxton or I don't care, Janine Pirro or, take your pick. Why can they get a Garland and we can't? What's your theory, Jerry?
They're all on the same page because they're all members of the Communist Party or the Marxists. That's all. And some of them who aren't, like Fetterman, let's say he isn't, they want to get rid of him. They're going to primary him. They want to get rid of him. Anyone who isn't is going to get pushed out. That's all. The ones that aren't, they're going to go after them. That's all. But most of them are. If they weren't, they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be allowed to be there. And like I said, the ones that got in that they thought were, and then I find out that they're not, like Fetterman, they intend to get rid of.
Oh yeah, they're going to primary him. Oh yeah, they're going to finish him. They're going to primary him, and they're going to run him out of Pennsylvania. Jerry, I like the call. Jerry. Thank you for that call, my friend. Basically, he's saying, look, it's a uniparty. That's what it is. It's a cartel. And, if you're serious about putting people in the swamp in jail, okay, you can text the Kuhner man, 70470, 70470. Absolutely fascinating text from 603. Jeff, here's what he writes. Jeff, you and I are absolutely simpatico on every point this morning. Pam Bondi wasted over a year that we didn't have to spare. Don't let the door hit you on that Barbie butt on the way out. Now, Todd Blanche, I did not know this. Now, Todd Blanche was a lifelong Democrat from the Southern District of New York. And he's been the main Judas behind the scenes that's been killing a lot of the investigations and the indictments that we need to see happen. He would be more of the same, and I honestly hope Blanche gets the axe next. Now, that part I heard. That, in fact, I've been reading this for a while now. That Blanche was, one of the key people telling Pam Bondi, yeah, don't investigate this person. Nah, we can't arrest that person. He blocked every prosecution. Everyone. I didn't know he was a lifelong Democrat. Okay. I knew he was Trump's personal lawyer, but I didn't know he was a lifelong Democrat. And he should get the axe. He needs to go. And then 603 continues. I agree Lee Zeldin would do an excellent job, but we need Lee to carry on the great work he's doing at the EPA. I also agree with bringing back Matt Gaetz 1,000%. But if they can't get Gaetz in there, Ken Paxton, Texas's Attorney General, would be every bit as good. Just please God, don't let Trump go with Todd Blanche. That man is a toxic, deep state swamp creature to his very core. Amen. I know he's the acting AG right now, but I hope that Trump doesn't pick him to, be Pam Bondi's full-time successor. And then 603 finishes with this. Jeff, as an aside, I'm hearing rumblings that the administration may be giving Tulsi Gabbard the axe, possibly over her private objections to the war with Iran. If this is the case, I think that would be a terrible move. Tulsi has done an absolutely phenomenal job. Every bit as good as RFK Jr. I love Tulsi as DNI. I think it would be an absolute travesty if Trump got rid of her. I hope these are just rumors and nothing more than rumors, because honestly, I would oppose the firing of Tulsi. She has been extremely loyal to Trump. She has served him phenomenally well. By the way, the intelligence that she gave him was impeccable. Impeccable. The intelligence she gave Trump on Iran was much better than what Pete Hegseth told him, or Lindsey Graham told him, or General Jack Keane on Fox News, who privately told him, or what Bibi Netanyahu told him. So I'm sorry, but Tulsi Gabbard has been a loyal soldier. She's been very loyal to Trump, and she's done an absolutely incredible job at DNI. And look, this to me gets to the heart of the issue. We can agree to disagree. Well, Jeff, I would go after the Obamas first. I'd go after the Clintons first. I'd go after whatever. I would arrest the sanctuary city mayors or some of these governors first or whatever. So I get it. We can all say I would start here instead of there. To me, what is no question, Tulsi Gabbard declassified the Russia collusion hoax. All of those documents that the deep state was desperately trying to keep buried and hidden. She is the one now that definitively proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Obama and his inner circle lied to the American public and tried to frame Trump as an agent of Russia and as a traitor to the United States. And that they tried to sabotage and essentially launch a coup against his presidency. Tulsi revealed all of that. All of that. And that they were illegally spying on Trump's campaign. And then furthermore, after he was sworn in as president, after he was inaugurated, they then spied on him as president. Now, these are crimes upon crimes upon crimes. This is treason. This is sedition. This is abuse of power. To me, I don't think you can have any more serious crimes than what they committed against Trump, and Tulsi exposed all of it. In fact, Pam Bondi made me look like a fool, and many of us. Because at the time, if you remember, we said it's almost like Tulsi with breadcrumbs was leading Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche. Like, here it is. Here's the crime. Here are the indictments. Here are the charges now you should level against them. Like, I'm doing all the heavy lifting for you. Here it is. Just follow the breadcrumbs. Here it is. And here are all the players you need to put behind bars. And they did nothing. In fact, they deliberately looked the other way. Bondi did and Blanche did. So this is how I would approach it. If I'm the Attorney General, all of the information that Tulsi declassified, it's all there. Okay? It's all there. We have the emails, we have the documents, we have the memos, we've got the instructions, we've got it all. It's open and shut. It's irrefutable. I go after Brennan. That traitor has to go to jail. I go after Comey. That traitor has to go to jail. Clapper. That traitor has to go to jail. McCabe, Comey's number 2. That traitor has to go to jail. And they will then roll on Obama. To save their skin, they will roll on the dear leader. By the way, Biden was directly implicated as well. Susan Rice was implicated as well. They were all implicated in this. So what I'm saying is you can take them all out. And who is the one that fed the garbage dossier, the Steele dossier, about how Trump was colluding with Putin and was in Moscow, and the peeing in the bed, the golden showers with the prostitutes, all of those lies that they peddled, that came straight from the Hilda Beast and her people. So what I'm saying is, you want to take out the corrupt Democrat leadership, their Politburo. It's Brennan, Clapper, Comey, and McCabe. And then through them, you get them all. You get them all. And so you need someone that is willing to take this incredible, invaluable information that Tulsi Gabbard declassified and released and says, let's get him. Let's get him. At a bare minimum, Comey, Brennan, and Clapper should be behind bars for the rest of their lives. At a bare minimum. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Tom in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Great show.
Thank you, Tom.
Jeff, I think you got to realize that in the Constitution you have the Appointments Clause. Under the Appointments Clause, the Senate has to approve any principal officer under the president that he appoints. Under our current system, he appoints anybody, Attorney General, Secretary of State. They have to be approved by the Senate. The process takes place. Each senator sits down with each candidate for hours and says, listen, you got my vote if you do A, B, and C. That's our system. And then say Attorney General, that's the system. It's not just the Attorney General. It's the U.S. attorneys under the Attorney General that have to be approved by the Senate. So you're talking Minnesota. The U.S. attorney in Minnesota, even if he's given the order to go off the walls, he has to be approved by the Senate. Now, under our current system, the senators, U.S. senators in Minnesota, have to sign off any U.S. attorney that's going to be appointed to their district. That is the customary system that we have in this country for the last 100 years. So now you appoint the best person, U.S. Attorney General. Under him, he has 80-something U.S. attorneys. So those U.S. attorneys actually go and prosecute whoever. Now, if they're loyal or put in there by Klobuchar and the other U.S. attorney, they're not going to do anything. That's our system. That is the U.S. Senate system. That's the U.S. Constitution system. That's how our country's been operating. It's completely political. The only way around it, maybe, is if Trump, like you mentioned, appoints somebody, say 7 months, temporary, a military judge from the military, temporary appointment, and all the U.S. attorneys under him, temporary appointment, and then the U.S. attorneys under them, temporary appointment. That's the only way around it. Every single person, I don't know why Trump does it, in the cabinet he has now, they're all politicians. They're all politicians. But maybe Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard, a couple are doing a good job. For whatever reason, he appoints all politicians in these cabinet secretaries, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to rock the boat. They're looking, I'll be there 2-3 years, and then I got to move on to my whatever I'm going to do. Bill Barr works for Bush, and all these people, they're all politicians. So the way the system is set up, you're not going to get anybody to do anything that's going to rock the boat. It's just not going to happen, Jeff.
Well, you're right. The deck is stacked against him. There's no question. There's no question. And I think that's why, look, Trump, everyone says he's a great chess player. And I think that's where Trump now has to start playing some serious chess. Now, he does play chess in many aspects of his presidency. There's no question. He's not been playing chess, and I don't know why. It's like his Achilles heel, his blind spot. I don't know what it is. But, look, you're right. I understand what you're saying. You're saying, look, Jeff, he can't pick somebody. If you want somebody full time, in other words, appointed and confirmed by this, appointed by him and confirmed by the Senate, because essentially all you can get is a politician. But you could have done he could have done a hell of a lot better than Jeff Sessions. I'm just making Sessions as an example. He could have done a hell of a lot better than Bill Barr. He could have done a hell of a lot better, certainly, than Pam Bondi. So what I'm saying, and maybe that's why he's going with Lee Zeldin. I don't know. Maybe he's come to your conclusion. Hey, look, I have to work within the system, within the framework, within the parameters. I can't get somebody who's going to, I'd love to have a Matt Gaetz, but they're not going to confirm him. I'd love to get a Ken Paxton. They're not going to confirm him. So somebody, or even a Jeanine Pirro, someone that's going to really take it to the swamp. Really go after the criminals, the rot, the deep state, really chop away at them. They're just not going to put somebody in that position. They won't confirm. So, I got to get somebody in there that can maybe get me a few kills, get me a few convictions, has my back, and, can get something done. So maybe he figures Zeldin is the guy. Zeldin's worked amazing with EPA. He's been in Congress. He knows the game. He's loyal. He's a Marine. An Army. He's an Army guy, a 20-year military vet. And he figures, look, it's the best I can do. And so that's why he's going with Zeldin. It's a safer pick. Zeldin will get confirmed. There's no question he will. There are no skeletons in his closet, that I can tell you. And, is he gonna destroy the very foundations of the swamp? No. Is he the kind of guy that's going to put the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bidens in jail? No. But he may get scalps. And I think Trump's going to say, I'll take it. I'll take it. So maybe that's why he's going with Zeldin. So you may be completely right, Tom. And maybe Trump, he is playing chess with this move with Zeldin. But I can just say this, as an outside observer, we could have done better at Attorney General. I can name you, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Scott Bessent. I'm not saying I subscribe to his economic philosophy 100%, but Bessent is a very competent man. There's no question. You know, J.D. Vance, very competent vice president, very talented man. Rubio, I'm not a big fan of Rubio in many ways, but he's done a very good job as Secretary of State. He just has. You know, Tulsi, you mentioned, is phenomenal. RFK Jr., I think, has done a great job. I mean, so I'm looking at many of his picks in his cabinet. I'm like, they're excellent. But for whatever reason, as Attorney General, you know, it's not, you know, look, Zeldin is good, solid, intelligent, competent, loyal. We haven't had that as Attorney General. We've had disasters. And in a way, Bondi was almost, I mean, Barr really betrayed him. Okay, both Sessions and Barr betrayed him. Let's be honest. In a way that Pam Bondi never did. So Pam Bondi was loyal to him. She didn't betray him. Like, let's be honest. But the constant going on Fox, the way she just sat on cases, the way she bungled the Epstein files, I just played a couple of the cuts, but I could go on and on. Like, at times, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Now, Lee Zeldin is not going to embarrass Trump. That I can tell you. And I think he's going to do some good as AG. So, to me, what I'm saying now is let's just get somebody who's competent and loyal and effective as Attorney General. That's it. Not a system transformer, not someone who's going to, you know, take down the entire corrupt swamp. You know, okay, fine, I hear you, Tom. But, you know, I think Trump, and I think that's why part of me is like, please, just go with Zeldin. Please, just do it. Just don't let it be Todd Blanche. Because people in his ear are saying, no, go with Todd. Go with Todd. No. He was your lawyer. He was the deputy under Bondi. He knows the DOJ. You won't miss a beat with him. He's the acting attorney general. He can be, hey, they'll confirm him. And I'm like, please, it's almost now anybody but Todd Blanche. Because if you get Todd Blanche, he's going to be 0 for 4 in terms of his attorney general picks. So I don't know what it is. It's an open secret in his administration. On other picks, he's phenomenal. On the AG, I don't know what it is. Many even say, look, privately, they even say, can you just let somebody else pick it? Because for whatever reason, I don't know what you're looking for or what you think you see, but you keep missing and missing and missing. So I think Zeldin is sort of like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to get somebody that I know can do the job, do it effectively, efficiently, and put some wins on the board. Not Superman. He's not going to, he's not a silver bullet. He's not going to take them all down. But with this guy, at least I know I've got somebody who's doing a good job and working every single day, and he's not there sabotaging me. And he's not at the freaking hair salon. Or like Bill Barr stuffing his face at the Capitol Grill Steakhouse. Tom, thank you very much for that call. So, look, I'm happy with Zeldin. I mean, me, I want more. But if Zeldin is all we can do, okay, I'll take Zeldin. Zeldin is good. And good is better than sucks. And that's the thing with Bondi. She was a disaster. In her own way, she was a disaster. And look, I'll be the first to admit it. I was disappointed. I had high hopes for her. Because honestly, as Florida Attorney General, she was quite good. I know she had her critics, but still, I thought she did quite an effective job as Attorney General of Florida. And she came in there and outside of, low-hanging fruit, arrests of some Antifa members and Don Lemon and cartels and, which is nice. But I mean, come on. That's not what we were promised. And that's not what we expected. Especially after Tulsi did what she did. When Tulsi released all of that damning classified information about the Russia collusion hoax and all of the treason and the lying and the spying and the abuse of power that took place. the coup. She exposed a coup, an attempted coup against the sitting president of the United States, the duly elected president of the United States. I'm like, at this point, fish or cut bait. And she clearly was unwilling to fish. 617-266-6868. Ed in Pennsylvania. Thanks for holding, Ed, and welcome.
Hey, morning, Jeff, and happy Easter to you and your family
Easter.
And all of Kuhner country. Yeah.
All the best to you and your family, Ed.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot. Is there a deal to be made here, based on the Machiavellian culture in Washington, D.C.? I mean, let's look at the priorities. Our priority is what? The SAVE Act. Can we make a deal with Thune? Is there somebody he'll confirm that Trump can trust Thune to go ahead and pass the SAVE Act? Is there a deal? Is there some sort of a chess play here?
Ed, can you please hang on? I'm up against a hard break. Okay, Ed in Pennsylvania. Let's go right back to Ed. Ed asks, in many ways, the $64,000 question. Is there a deal to be made with John Thune over the SAVE Act? And look, in theory, yes. Yes, there's a deal to be made. In theory. Here is the problem. You've got the Senate is split 53-47. All 47 Democrats, including Fetterman, are dead set against passing the SAVE Act. When I say this is the political hill they're going to die on, they're like the mullahs in Iran right now. This is their jihad. They can't have the SAVE Act passed because if it does, it will undercut voter fraud, and without voter fraud, they can't win an election. And they know that. So they are never going to give ground or compromise ever. So that means you've left with 53 Republicans. You've got Murkowski that's against it. You've got McConnell that wants to sink it. So that's already 2 right there. And you've got Curtis in Utah, who also probably is thinking of voting against it. So already you're down to 50. You still have J.D. Vance. He's the tie-breaking vote. That'll give you your 50 plus 1. But what I'm saying is this, Ed. It's not like we're 2-3 votes away from the 60-vote threshold to break a filibuster. Then maybe you can go to the 2 or 3 that are still holding out and say, what do you need? What do you want? You want a bridge? You want a hospital? You want a school? Like what do you want in your district or in your state? What can I give you? With your name on it, and we'll do a whole ceremony, and, what is it that you want that I can give you that to persuade you to come and vote for election integrity and to end voter fraud? Now they're at 50. Forget 60. They can barely get to 50. So the only way to pass the SAVE Act is to get Thune to agree to abolish the filibuster. That's it. And the Democrats have said again, they just said it again a couple days ago, if they win in November and they get both the House and the Senate, they're abolishing the filibuster. They're going to pack the Supreme Court. They're going to end the Electoral College. They're going to admit Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. as states to give them 4 extra Senate seats. So they've already lined up. And by the way, they're going to abolish ICE, or at a minimum defund ICE and reopen the border. And it's all going to be 50 plus 1. So they're blowing that filibuster the second they get back to power. So this is why Trump is urging them, saying, what are you guys waiting for? They're going to do it. You do it now and save the country and the republic before it's too late. So there's only 2 options. Either Trump goes to Thune and essentially bribes him. It says, look, essentially, I'm being serious. How much are they paying you? Because clearly you're being paid. So whatever they're paying you will match and top it. So really, what is it? What do you want? You tell, what do we'll set up a foundation. We'll do a Clinton Foundation thing. So we'll do a John Thune Foundation thing, and we'll just you can be the executive director when you leave politics, and you'll make gazillions of dollars. Is that what you want? Like, what do you want? And Trump is not going to do that because that's illegal. It's criminal, and his enemies would find out, and they would put him in jail. They would crucify him. You see, the thing about Trump, you have to remember, Ed, is that the crimes that are committed by the swamp, they never get prosecuted for. But if Trump even tried to do something similar, in other words, play their game or beat them at their game, they would send him to jail for 1,000 years. So he can't do what the Democrats have done, which is, here's money on the table. Here it is. I'm bribing you. Okay, like in Eastern Europe. Here. Now shut up and do our bidding. So he's either got that, or he's got to go to the Senate and get 5 patriots who are going to issue a leadership challenge. And then say, I'm done. In other words, I'm going to blow up Thune. I mean, he'll still be a backbencher, but 5 patriots who challenge his leadership and say, we've lost confidence. We're going to have a leadership race to be the Senate Republican leader, and put J.D. Vance's name forward, or Rick Scott, or whoever, and get someone that can lead the Republicans, who's willing to abolish the filibuster, and then we don't just get the SAVE Act passed, we get everything passed. So unless Trump, that's called the nuclear option, unless Trump is willing to go nuclear, that's his only play right now. Now, you may say, well, Jeff, why doesn't he just go nuclear? Because the old expression, if you aim for the king, you better kill the king. If they go for this leadership challenge and Thune manages to survive, meaning he ends up getting more votes than, say, Rick Scott, or let's say they put J.D. Vance's name in there, Thune will declare a jihad against Trump and against those Republicans that crossed him. So the Republican Party will be blown up, and then Trump will get nothing. I mean, literally nothing. So that's the pickle that Trump is in right now. Ed, have I laid it out for you?
Yes, I believe your analysis is almost bulletproof. There's only one. There's only one thing I would. There's only one thing I would disagree with. You've got to work with the devil you know, and the last thing you want to do is insult Thune. And by going to him and bribing him is a blatant insult. I think that President DJ is a master. He's masterful at finding where the leverage exists. Somewhere in there's got to be some leverage, and it is all about nuking the filibuster. But you can't do it by insulting Thune. By the way, shout out to Dave on the other side of Pittsburgh.
Ed, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Joining us now, as she always does at this time, she is the co-founder, CEO, and president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. I want to let everyone know about something we're doing that I think will be really valuable, especially with everything going on in the markets right now. On Thursday, April 16th at 4 p.m., we're hosting a live webinar, Navigating the Crosswinds. And it's focused on what's happening in the markets and what it could mean for your retirement. Because let's face it, between interest rates, inflation, and global uncertainty, a lot of people are feeling a little uneasy about their portfolios right now. During this webinar, we walk through what happened in the first quarter, what's driving the volatility we're seeing, and how we are thinking about the rest of 2026. And I think what people are really looking for right now, clarity, perspective, and a better understanding of what's going on. If you'd like to join us, just go to kellyfinancial.org, click on the events tab, and you can register there. Again, that's April 16th, 4 p.m. We'd love to have you with us. Jeff, I hope you, Grace, and your family have a blessed Easter.
Kelly, happy Easter to you, the whole family, and everyone at Kelly Financial. If you would like to attend that webinar, and I urge everyone to do so, call now, 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or you can actually email Kelly herself, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you, the new Attorney General, who would you like to see Pam Bondi's replacement arrest, indict, and put behind bars? Who would you like to see them go after for their crimes? Should it be Brennan? I know it's, everyone's going to say, well, all of the above, but who would you like to see them go after first? In other words, what's your top priority? Is it to go after people like Brennan and Clapper and Comey for the Russia collusion hoax? Should they go after the Obamas? Should they go after Biden? Should they go after the sanctuary city mayors and governors? Should they go after Ilhan Omar? Where would you like to see the Attorney General focus first and foremost? 617-266-6868. Let's go to Lynn in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lynn, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Lynn.
I feel like I'm calling today to have you make me feel better because I've become so cynical. My question is, can any AG really do anything? They all go in, all gung-ho. She was a good candidate, but suddenly things change. And let's look at some examples of Kash Patel at the FBI and Dan Bongino and how they went in all gung-ho about Epstein and nothing has been done. Now that Bongino's left and is actually bashing podcasters who question maybe Epstein and Israel. Can anyone really do anything? Are they getting blackmailed? Are they getting threatened? Is the deep state undefeatable? We need someone that can actually look in the face of death and is so principled and really has nothing to lose, no family, nothing, and can take it on. Because is it that they just can't get anything done because of threats? I don't know. And I feel like that may be the case.
Lynn, let me answer your question this way. I think it's such an important question. Actually, a very profound question, very smart question. Today is Good Friday. And what is the central story of Good Friday? It's a permanent theme. By the way, you can't understand Shakespeare. You can't understand Dostoevsky. Most of the greatest writers and novelists in world history knew the Bible inside out and wanted to relay the themes of the Bible, okay, in a more secular way, obviously, but the great themes in the Bible. And so what is this? What is it today? Today is Jesus is crucified on the cross. And what does Jesus signify? What does he represent? He represents suffering goodness in an evil, wicked world. The Roman Empire crushed him. Not spiritually, because he wins. In the end, he rises. And he defeats sin and death. But what I'm saying is just the secular part of it, the worldly part of it. He was crushed. Initially, he's crushed. That's why he's on the cross today. And the mob cheered it all on. And at the heart of this betrayal is greed. It's Judas who betrays him. If Judas had not betrayed him, he would not have been crucified. And so evil wickedness preys upon greed to destroy or try to destroy, crush, suffering goodness, innocence. And so Judas sold his soul. In fact, Jesus even tells him, it is better that you were never born, because Judas can see that he's going to be betrayed. That's the drama of the Last Supper. And of course, Judas denies it and denies it and denies it. He even kisses Jesus on the cheek. Hence the term kiss, the kiss of Judas. In other words, I love you so much. I will never, my Lord, I love you so much. Me betray you? Mwah! I would never do that to you. This is how much I love you. And of course, for 30 pieces of silver, he betrays our Lord and Savior. John Thune is a bought man. He's bribed. Most of the power that the deep state or the swamp or the globalists or the corrupt establishment, I'm telling you, I was in D.C. for so many years, their number one most effective tool is what got Judas to crucify Jesus. Money and greed. Money and greed. That's why I said, look, I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, the way to counter them is, they pay you $3 million, we pay you $5 million. They pay you $5 million, we pay you $10 million. I'm not advocating for bribery, quite the opposite. But what I'm saying is, you're dealing with an intensely corrupt man. The only thing he cares about is money in his bank account and money in his wallet. So Thune is bought and paid for. And so what you have to find in people, and it's a rare quality, but it does exist, believe me. I'm not for sale. I'm not for sale. And that's the problem. I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm going to make a lot of people angry, but I'm telling you the truth. I know Dan Bongino. Anyway, I don't want to say anything more. Everybody sells themselves for an almighty buck. And it's the same. It's not just Dan Bongino. It's Kash Patel. It's not just John Thune. I can run Mitch McConnell. I could go on and on. They are for sale. Lindsey Graham is for sale. Lindsey Graham is owned by the military-industrial complex. Lindsey Graham, with all due respect, is a loser who now has become a gazillionaire because he's become essentially a shill, a whore for the warmongers. Hillary Clinton, nobody would ever. Bill and Hillary Clinton from Arkansas. At best, they would have a small-time law firm in Little Rock. They're worth now $500 million. Why? Because they're whores. They sold themselves. The Obamas, ditto. The Bidens, ditto. So what I'm trying to say, Lynn, is you have to find people of outstanding moral character. It's really that simple. Look at RFK Jr. He's not for sale. Tulsi Gabbard, you can say whatever you want. She's not for sale. She's just not. You can see it on her. Okay, you don't like it, fire me and I'll find a way to make a living. But you're not going to give me money and I'm not going to be corrupted by you. That's why I like J.D. Vance a lot. He's not for sale. He's not. So what I'm saying is we can beat the deep state. There's no question. I'm telling you from my anti-communist background, the greatest how do you think the communists stayed in power for so long? It's the parallel, the historical analogy are almost exactly identical. They bought the dissidents off. And if they couldn't buy them off, they locked them up. But the point is you needed somebody who wasn't for sale. And the greatest anti-communists were those that said, no, I'm sorry. They tended to be Christian, Eastern Europe, either Catholic or Orthodox Christian. And, I'm sorry, I'm not for sale. No, my grandfather, here, God bless him. My grandfather, I'm not for sale. You can take my home, you can take my land, you can take my cows. I mean, that's what they did. They took everything. I'm not for sale. Do you understand? The answer is no. Now, you find somebody like that person is invincible. They're invincible. And I'm telling you, there are people out there. When I say it's not that Ken Paxton is this great, this holy, a saint. Ken Paxton is not for sale. Okay, just to put an exclamation point on the answer to Lynn's all-important question, you look at our founding fathers. Why do you think they won the war? They weren't for sale. John Adams wasn't for sale. George Washington certainly wasn't for sale. Hamilton wasn't for sale. Jefferson wasn't for sale. I mean, I don't want to, but just the British couldn't buy them off. They couldn't scare them. They couldn't intimidate them because they were true patriots. They were men of genuine courage and bravery and patriotism. But also, they were deeply religious, moral men. And they said, no, I'm going to be judged by my Creator, and I'm not going to sell my soul. I'm not for sale. I will not be financially corrupted. So, and there are many people out there who really don't, have excellent characters. I just pointed several names. I could point many more in the Trump administration and in government. But you got to pick them. You got to know them. You got to pick them, and you got to stand by them. And, that's why I think that was, Trump's problem with the AG position. You're picking people with bad character. Barr in particular was disgusting. I mean, I've never seen somebody pimp the AG position the way he did. So, but I'm going back to Thune as an example. Thune is bought and paid for, just like McConnell. Just like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries or Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton. That's the problem. So find someone who's not for sale, and then believe me, they're a very dangerous person in a good way. And so, I got to say this. Lee Zeldin, from everything I've read, is a very good man. Very good man. Served 20 years in the military, did a tour in Iraq, was a good, strong member of Congress, has done a very nice, effective job as EPA head. Believe me, Lee Zeldin is not going to embarrass anybody as Attorney General. And he's going to be a good, strong, effective pick. So, all right, well, that's the thing. So just that everybody, because Mike's in my ear now. So just for all of you, if you want to have a laugh at the Kuhner man's expense, go to @the Report, @the Report, KUHN as in national ER. You're going to see a chart up. Okay, this is Mike and Sandy. They put up this chart because that's what they do. They have to make my life difficult. They take pleasure in making fun of me. And so you're going to see something called the Kuhner Cabinet Cycle. And it's a circle with arrows, and they're basically making fun of me. Search for new cabinet members. So Trump is searching for a new cabinet member. Then cabinet member hired, in parentheses, Jeff loves it. Then you follow the arrow a little bit more. Cabinet member does one small thing Jeff disagrees with, and now he hates them. Then the arrow keeps going. Cabinet member fired. Jeff celebrates, in parentheses. Then you follow the arrow back to the top of the circle. Search for new cabinet member. So Mike is saying, oh, yeah, you like Lee Zeldin until you don't like him. I'm in step 2 right now, according to Mike. So he's about to get hired, so I love him. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike, I got to say, you and Sandy would so get along with Grace and the kids, it's not even funny. Because they live to take pot shots at the Kuhner man as well. Tom in Framingham. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
It's a pretty good show this morning.
Thank you, Tom. I like the way you qualified it. Pretty good.
No, it's good. There's
that's okay. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing. I'm joking. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
It's one thing I want to say about firing Bondi. You can get a new attorney general, but the problem is they're not going to have control over that agency, Department of Justice. I think there's 1,600 people in that building,
Have you ever seen that building? You know how big the building is.
Oh,
You
it's
used to work
huge.
in D.C.
Oh, it's huge.
It's
You're right.
gigantic.
It's huge.
And I think, do you remember the day Garland left the building? They all lined up and gave him a standing ovation. When Obama left, before he left, he took a lot of appointee billets and turned them into career billets. And the pipeline to DOJ are basically educated idiots out of Ivy League who like the fact that their starting salary is going to be near $200,000 a year, so they can bury themselves like ticks into the Department of Justice. And most of those kids are already indoctrinated by the time they get there. I mean, most of them, if they practiced law, they'd be getting sued for malpractice. So they crawl into the government. So it's like taking a gigantic ship that's heading for a dock and trying to, something that's like a 30,000 ton ship, and trying to not only stop it but turn it around. Bondi did a few things that they seem to be token things. She fired 20 or so prosecutors who were involved in the J6 prosecutions. But that's not enough to turn that agency around. So, and whoever the attorney general is, they're not going to be doing the prosecutions.
Well, you're right. You have U.S. attorneys and others that do that. But I think your larger point is completely dead on. Absolutely correct. You're going to have to clean house.